An independent and former Democrat running as a Tea Party candidate is said to have been a major factor in the loss of a Republican House seat in a very red district of New York State. Let's call in one of the major forces in the Tea Party, former House Majority Leader Dick Armey, who is chairman of the conservative advocacy group Freedom Works. Dick Armey, good to talk to you again, sir.
Oh, yeah, it's good to talk to you.
Democrat Kathy Hochul beat out Republican Jane Corwin. However, Tea Party candidate Jack Davis siphoned off enough conservative votes to act as a spoiler. Now, first, do you believe that Davis was a true Tea Party candidate? And second, did his presence in the race cost the GOP victory?
Well, actually, no. We know. In fact, we identified this fellow as sort of a interloper before the race was over. In fact, put out statements to that effect. This is always a problem when you have a movement that's as perceived to be as strong and powerful as the Tea Party movement is everybody wants to pretend to be them. And here's a guy that maybe had a little bit of success with the pretension. I'm not sure he did. My own view is he probably had his presence in the race made the difference that a third-party candidate's presence might have made in any event. But the fact of the matter is that this was no Tea Party activist of any kind, and the Tea Party activists in that part of the country were well aware of the fact that he was an interloper.
Hochul's campaign focused largely on her opposition to Congressman Paul Ryan's Medicare plan. Was this special election a referendum on the House GOP approach?
No, I don't think so at all. I think once again there are so much that go into what happens in a campaign. It's always hard to do a post-mortem on them, but I can tell you one thing I've seen as a consistent pattern in all post-mortems on failed political campaigns is every advocate out there is certain that the person lost because they didn't agree with me or they agreed with the other guy or whatever. My own view is that, again, without knowing a whole lot about the races, that the Democrat probably just ran a better race.
Do you think this election is a sign that Republicans made a mistake getting out in front of entitlement changes and need to change direction or at least explain themselves better?
Well, they need to explain themselves better, but, part of the problem is you have one very courageous Republican that's gotten out there and is prepared to take the initiatives that are needed for the country, and you've got an awful lot of other Republicans that simply don't have the courage to step up and give him the support. So my own view is what the Republican Party needs to understand, that is to say the office holders in the Republican Party, is if you will see the thing through, you will probably find yourself quite successful. If you cut and run, if you just don't have the courage to see it through, you'll end up getting beat. This is the same lesson we went through with welfare reform back in 95 and 96. The reason that in the end President Clinton jumped up and said it was the best idea he ever had was that we got it done.
Does the GOP have a problem heading into 2012 with possibly more Tea Party candidates running separately and acting as spoilers to make Republicans lose to Democrats?
No, not again. The fact of the matter is, if you look in the last election cycle, the one thing that is indisputable is that the Tea Party activists did a better job of supporting Republican candidates in the general election than the Republican Party did.
Should Tea Partiers instead aim to challenge Republicans in three-way congressional and Senate races and keep it at two candidates instead of three?
Well, yeah, what we try to do is we try to make our quarrels, if we have a quarrel with a Republican incumbent, make that in the primary process, as we did, for example, in Florida in the Senate race, and then once again in Utah. Once the primary process is resolved, then the question just simply becomes a question of, all right, who's the best, maybe even the best of our choice from among two bad options. But, then we will fight for that person who is the more conservative person left standing in the race.
Should the GOP presidential candidates be looking at this New York race and making adjustments?
Well, yeah, but one of the adjustments I'd be making if I was a presidential candidate is I had to make sure that I'm campaigning as hard as I have to campaign in order to win a race.
Former House Majority Leader and Chairman of Freedom Works, Dick Armey, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.